To help swimmers improve their skills as much as possible, we want to use the most effective strategies. But what do we do when those effective strategies start becoming less effective? Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. In this video, we're going to go over a skill development strategy to help ensure that you can use your best tools for as long as possible and as effectively as possible. Let's dive in. When you're trying to help swimmers improve their skills, you want to use the best strategies you have available. There's only so much time, whether that's in a workout, whether that's in a training week, whether that's over the course of a season, or even a career. Time is limited. Just as importantly, energy is limited as well. There's only so much energy to do workouts. There's only so much energy to recover from those workouts. So we have to make sure that we're using the best methods to help swimmers improve. And we want to use those methods as often as possible. So how can we create the most change in the least amount of time with the least effort? That's the goal. It's not about being lazy. It's because we only have so much time and energy. We have to be really, really effective with what we're doing and how we're doing it. And if you have really effective tools, why would you use other tools? So one of the key ideas is we got to use the best tools we have available so that we can help swimmers improve as quickly and as dramatically as possible. Of course, life isn't so easy and coaching isn't so simple. Even if you're using the best strategies, doing the same thing over and over and over again simply doesn't work. It's boring, and it's physically boring, it's psychologically boring, and it's technically boring. And when swimmers get bored, they're not going to improve nearly as fast as they could if they're otherwise excited and engaged in what they're doing. And unfortunately, boredom can happen pretty fast. You do the same thing a few times in a row, and swimmers get the hang of it, and they're not really challenged nearly as much as they were when they first started. So we run into the problem where we have these really effective tools, but they only work for so long. Of course, we can avoid this problem by using less effective tools, but then we're using less effective tools and progress isn't going to be nearly as fast as what otherwise could be or nearly as fast as we'd like it to be. So we have two options here and neither of them good. We can use really great tools exclusively, but then deal with a loss of effectiveness of these tools, or we can constantly switch it up, but then when we do, we're necessarily using less effective tools. So regardless of what we choose, we're not helping swimmers improve as much as they otherwise could because we're not being as effective as we otherwise could be. Fortunately, there's a third strategy, and I call it the same but different strategy. So you're going to use the same activities, the same exercises, but you're going to present them differently. And of course, if we're using the best exercises, we're going to get the most progress. And if we can use different variations of those exercises, we can keep it novel and we can continue to facilitate improvement because things aren't going to get boring. So rather than switching up what you do, switch up how you do it. So there are many, many ways you can do that. We'll discuss a few in a minute. The big concept is rather than trying to switch what you do, consider the different ways that you can change how you do it so that you can continue to use the most effective exercises, the most effective learning strategies, but do so in a way that's always going to be relatively novel. And so what you do, create a list of your best learning strategies for each skill and each thing you want to develop. And then think about all the different ways you can vary them and write that down so that you have a bank. So whenever you get stuck, you can just go back, look at your list, and then implement something that's both novel and extremely effective. So here are some different ways that you can vary the same tasks. And there's almost unlimited options. You can use different types of speeds, so you can have them descend, build, negative split, just go at different speeds, go fast, go slow, go somewhere in between, alternate between different speeds. There's tons of different ways to do it. You can do the same thing with stroke counts, higher stroke counts, lower stroke counts, change your stroke count, alternate the stroke count. And in each situation, it's going to dramatically change what they're experiencing regardless of what they're doing. Same thing with stroke rates, higher stroke rates, lower stroke rates, change your stroke rate, alternate your stroke rate. There's a lot of different options and they all can be effective. There's tons of different training aids, paddles, fins, kickboards, snorkels. It goes on and on and on. You can use lots of different training aids to directly impact what they're experiencing. Same thing with different hand postures. You can have them close their fist, okay signs, use paddles, use a single paddle, hold a paddle upside down, pinch a paddle. Again, there's tons of different options. You can use any of them. You can use, and in each case, it's going to change what they're experiencing within the same activity. You can also use resistance. It's going to dramatically affect their body position. It's going to affect how they interact with the water with both the arms and the legs, and different types of resistance are going to have a different impact. A parachute's going to be different than a power tower, which is going to be different than drag socks, which is going to be different than a weight belt, which is going to be different than a stretch cord. And in each case, you're providing a new challenge, a new way to experience whatever activity, whatever drill you're having them do. Then You don't have to use these in isolation. You can combine them. So you can do speed and stroke count, or speed and resistance, or resistance and hand postures. And there's, again, when you start combining things, there's almost an unlimited number of options for what you can do and how you can use the same strategy in lots and lots of different ways. And finally, you can vary what you do. So they can have some sort of speed task on the odd repetitions. They can have a stroke rate task on the even repetitions. They can use a certain hand posture on the odd repetitions. They can use no hand posture on the even repetitions. Again, you can vary things in so many different ways using so many different combinations or any of these individually. So regardless of what skill you're working on, regardless of what strategy you like to use to improve that skill, there are countless ways to change how you're doing that to allow swimmers to continue to learn, to continue to make progress, and to continue to get faster. Here are two specific examples to demonstrate and illustrate the same but different skill development strategy. So for the first set, they're going to go 5 rounds through. They're going to go 350s breaststroke, minimizing stroke count and time. So what we're working on here is helping swimmers learn to create length at speed. And rather than just doing 1550s, we're going to change up how they're doing it. Round 1, they're going to go light parachute. Round 2, they're going to go a drill, so 2 pulls, 1 kick. Round 3, they're going to use drag socks. Round 4 is going to be 2 kicks, 1 pull. And round 5 is going to be swim. So what they experience within that set, within each round, is going to be dramatically different. 2 pulls, 1 kick is obviously going to be very different than 2 kicks, 1 pull. You put a parachute on them, it's going to change things. You put drag socks on their feet, that's going to change things. And obviously regular swimming is going to be pretty normal, but after all that other work, it's going to feel really different. The second set, we're going to go 2 rounds through, and this time, instead of changing the training aids and the drills and how they execute it, we're just going to change the performance expectations. So they're going to go 425s underwater recovery, and then they're going to do 425s. They're going to take 1 less stroke per 25. Then they're going to descend 1 to 4. Then they're going to descend 1 to 4 at the same stroke count. Then they're going to build to fast, and then they're going to build to fast with fins, and then they're going to go 50 freestyle strong effort. We'll do that twice. So as you can see, these are all different variations of the same basic task, and they're going to provide a lot of different stimulus, a lot of different opportunities for learning. You don't have to necessarily use a bunch of different strategies within the same set. You can just change the strategies that you use over time. I put a lot of different strategies in these sets to illustrate the different options that are available, but what you could do is just change things on a week-to-week basis. You can change things on a month-to-month basis. You can do all sorts of different things to really create a lot of different variations of the same thing. And in each of these cases, each section, each round is going to be experienced very differently, and what they learn is going to be different, and that can be leveraged in order to really facilitate long-term progress, and you can do so while consistently using the most effective strategies. You just have to change up how you use them. Hope that was helpful, and as always, keep it simple.